What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 2 of Cooking Chat. Today we're going to be making shrimp and pasta for meal prep, but more importantly, we're going to talk about the importance of trusting yourself. A moment where you feel like you're not doing the right thing, not taking the right step, or even cooking the right recipe. Today we're going to dive all into that. Without wasting any more of your time, let's show y'all the seasonings we're going to be working with. So for today's recipe, we're simply going to be rocking with the adobo, black pepper, onion powder, and Lari seasoning salt. We're going to keep it real simple, real basic. So if y'all want to follow along, go ahead. To be completely honest with you guys, hold on, let me drain this. So look, we're doing this whole thing in the spirit of meal prep, right? We're trying to get our fitness goals together. So meal prep for a busy man is the best way to get things done. Now, this whole topic of this video is about trusting yourself, right? Now, when it comes to cooking a recipe is kind of like the idea of trusting yourself, right? Prepping this meal kind of reminds me of life. We don't know what the final result is going to look like, but you prep it anyway, just trusting that whatever happens is going to come out a good meal, right? So that's really all we can do is trust. So we got to learn to trust ourselves the same way we trust that our meal will come out the right way. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Boom, we got our shrimp going. Our shrimp is seasoned. We got our water on the stove being boiled as we speak. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about trusting yourself, right? I think it's about that time. So as we're in the kitchen today cooking, I think it's only fair I use a cooking type reference, right? And sometimes life could be like putting together a recipe because you start with no real idea of how the meal is going to come out, how the meal is going to taste. You can't know until you taste it, right? So, and similarly in life, we have to do things, right, with knowing that there's going to be a result, and we can't really guarantee any result, right? We can't say this is the result I want and this is the result I'm going to get. You can only put in the work and hope that the result is good, right? There's really only a limited amount of control we have over that type of thing. So you have to not be afraid to walk into certain things, and you have to be okay with the fact that it might not come out the way that you want to. And same thing when it comes to cooking. So a lot of things go hand in hand in this lifestyle. It's really about moving forward, even if the vision isn't 100% clear yet. But through the process of trying, that's where you tend to learn things, right? And this is important to realize because I've cooked shrimp many of times before, and a lot of times my shrimp will come out different. But now I've cooked shrimp so many times that I have a pretty good understanding of how to cook it, how I like it to come out, you know, what flavors I like, how much seasoning to put of this, how much of this seasoning, because I've done it so many times. It's kind of like building a muscle, right? The more you work out, the easier it gets. The more you realize what workouts you enjoy versus don't enjoy, the ones that give you the best pump versus the ones that give you the worst pump, right? Anybody, if you have ever cooked before, the more you do it, the more you know what you like, the more you know what your meal is missing, and the better you can adjust and get the best meal that you can, right? So it's the same thing in life. Anything you want to do, don't wait till things are perfect, because the only way to get perfection, first of all, you will never reach perfection. Let's get that clear. But the only way to get close to perfection or to keep increasing and keep improving is by doing what's necessary, right? Because that's how you learn. You have to learn in order to grow. Without learning, there is no growth. You just stay at the same position, right? So if you're not willing to try stuff out with your recipes, if you're not willing to try things out in your business life, if you're not willing to try things out in your relationship life, whatever the case may be, you're going to be stuck in a certain position that you may not want to be stuck in or may not want to be in the first place. And similarly to cooking, a lot of times we're not going to have instructions with life. Sometimes you got to go off pure instincts. You ever try to cook a meal without a recipe in hand, without a cookbook or a guide or a list of instructions? It's pretty difficult, isn't it? But as you do things, you try things, you'll figure out what works and what doesn't work, right? I'll talk about my personal experience. I wanted to learn how to make baked macaroni and cheese. And in the process of wanting to learn how to make this meal, I started my first time ever trying to make it came out pretty bad, I would say. Second time came out pretty bad. But each time it came out bad, I knew why I didn't like it. And I fixed it the very next time. And now I think I have a pretty good baked macaroni and cheese recipe, something I've always wanted in my life. And it only took 4 or 5 times making it. The last two, they came out good. The last one came out the best, but the last two came. The first 3 didn't come out so good. They were almost not enjoyable to me. But it took those 3 failures to find those 2 recipes that worked better. The point I'm trying to make is you gotta just try things, right? There's not always gonna be instructions for how to live this life. There just isn't. And the instructions also may not be so clear, but they will become more clear as you go through life and you try different things and you strive for new experiences. So back to cooking real quick. I'm gonna be cooking my shrimp in a pan because I kind of want a little bit of a crispier texture. So I'm gonna throw some vegetable oil in a pan as well as probably some butter and kind of fry it up. I'm not gonna really do the saute way. You can saute it by putting some butter, putting a lid on it, and just letting it soften. I think I want my shrimp to be a little more crispy, and it looks like I'm gonna have some extra shrimp as well. I don't think I need all this for my meal, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Get this in a pan, and we'll just keep chatting about this trust. Now, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, it's very easy, and I mean very easy, to talk about how to trust yourself, right? It's easy to say things, but I think what's even more important is why we tend to not trust ourselves, right? Why we tend to not trust ourselves. So, for one, I believe the one reason that we don't trust ourselves is simply because we have given ourselves nothing but proof on why we should not trust ourselves, right? From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, every decision that you make reinforces something, right? So if everything you do is full of doubt every single day, you are reinforcing that you should doubt yourself, which in turn just that's usually the reaction your body has to what you do. It says, all right, clearly we don't know what's going on. We don't know how to make a decision. We don't know what's best for us, and you kind of start leaning on that, right? That's how you get what's the word, low self-esteem and things of that nature, because you're constantly reinforcing it. Now, if you switch it up and constantly reinforce something more positive, reinforce that you can trust yourself, right? Then it's different. The way that I like to think about it is, think of someone in your life, right? Or someone who has previously been in your life. If you don't trust them, there's a reason why you don't trust them, because maybe they've broken your trust in the past. Maybe they are sneaky, but whatever the case may be, there's a reason why you don't trust said person, right? But that reason all trickles down to the fact that they have given you reason to not trust them. They have given you proof that they are untrustworthy individuals. So it works the same way with you. If you are constantly showing yourself that you are an untrustworthy individual, then your brain and your body has no choice but to respond as such, because their only job is to protect you. And that means if you are a threat to yourself, it has to protect. If they think that, if your body and your mind thinks that you are a threat to yourself, they have to treat you as such and protect you, in a sense, protect your mind and your body. That's his only mission. So you need to help it in that mission by switching things up. And I mean, it could be anything small. Anytime you second guess a decision, you are reinforcing that you are an untrustworthy individual. Every time that you tell yourself you're going to do something, you don't end up doing it, you are reinforcing that you're an untrustworthy individual. And when you start to lose trust in yourself, you start to lose confidence and build an abundance of low self-esteem, which is bad, because this is affecting your self-image of yourself. This is going to affect a lot of things: how you view yourself, what you think about yourself, the confidence that you have in yourself. Everything you can think of, it affects it all. So you have to be very, very careful in what you do, the decisions you make, and everything, right? Everything has to happen consciously. I believe one of the keys in changing and improving this world is start making a lot more of your decisions conscious decisions, right? Because when your decisions are conscious, then you kind of give yourself a lot more control than you would normally have. Because the truth is, I do believe we have a lot more control over our lives than we give ourselves credit for. But at the same time, there are certain matters that are just out of our hands. They're just too big for our own our own hands. So give yourself as much control as you can by making your decisions, your thoughts as conscious as possible. Because when you change your thoughts to conscious and you're actually thinking about what you're doing rather than just letting your brain go on autopilot, because when your brain is going on autopilot, it's only making decisions based off your past experiences, which is going to affect the decision very drastically. Because if you're used to being let down in the past, the decisions that you make are going to reflect that, which is going to in turn allow you to get less opportunities, less whatever the case, right? So you don't want to be reacting based off past experiences, right? Now, this isn't 100% a bad thing because past experiences also give you certain survival instincts that allow you to escape dangerous situations, whatever the case may be. So take this with a grain of salt. But that's kind of where your first instinct comes from, right? And I talked about first instinct usually being the right one, your first thought being the best thought, right? So in a way, it can be dangerous. You know, you being the fact that you go off past experience, it can be dangerous, but it can also be helpful. But like I said, that all comes down to how much control you have over the consciousness of your decisions and the consciousness of your thoughts. So it all comes down to you, right? Now, I know this sounds like a lot, and you're probably thinking, man, why does it take so much work to better myself as a person? Well, nobody ever said the journey was going to be easy. I think the journey is very difficult, and only the strongest make it through. And I think if you're watching this video, you're one of the strongest because you're doing your best to gain good information. But it's also about the action because people say knowledge is power, but the truth is it is action behind knowledge that is power. Because the knowledge is just information unless you utilize it, right? Right now, our shrimp is coming together. We got our noodles boiling. Everything is looking good. I got the shrimp on high because I want them to get a little crispy. All right, y'all, we just put our shrimp on low to let it stay warm but not do too much more cooking. Our noodles are coming along, maybe 10 more minutes for the noodles. So we're looking good. I want to go low noodles, right? Higher shrimp in the meal. So I might end up using all the shrimp and then just use less noodles, throw some sauce in there, boom, bam, bop. And then we'll be good. I didn't even show y'all the containers that we got. I went to the store and picked up these meal prep containers because I figured they'd be really good. I really wanted the glass ones rather than the plastic ones. I just feel like they might work better. But you never know. You got to try stuff. I've tried meal prep so many times in the past and I never was able to be consistent. But I really want to because a lot of things on my vision board are happening fast. But one of my things on my vision board was to be in better shape, get that six pack. So I need to take that more seriously so it can happen. We're already in May. Time is moving fast. Time ain't slowing down for nobody. So our shrimp is coming together. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, actually. And then, boom, now we just waiting on the noodles. If you guys want the best cooking experience you could possibly get, make sure you got Sabrina playing in the background. Sabrina Carpenter, shout out you. But look, I don't remember what I left off saying, but if there's anything I want you guys to take away from this video, like I said, when it comes to trusting yourself, it's all about what you're reinforcing in your day-to-day life. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, think about what you have been reinforcing all day. When you woke up and snoozed your alarm to go back to sleep, what version of you were you reinforcing? When you started doing a task but got distracted on TikTok, what version of you are you reinforcing? Are you reinforcing the successful, happy version of you, or are you reinforcing the version of you that's controlled by outer forces like social media and the influence of others? What version of you are you reinforcing? And you can use this in any aspect of your life. Anything that you do, before you make a decision, think, what version of myself do I want to be reinforcing? Always reinforce the better version of yourself. I think it's that simple. And I'm going to be going through my life with that mindset right now. Before I go to eat something bad, what version of myself would I be reinforcing if I went to eat that thing that's bad? And it's hard. Temptation is hard. Temptation has been hard since the day one day of earth, right? Temptation has been hard since the days of Adam and Eve, and it never went away, right? So temptation is always going to be difficult, but you are strong, and I know you're stronger than that. So remind yourself how strong you are by reinforcing the correct version of yourself. So our meal is pretty much coming together, world. We're just waiting on the noodles. So I'm gonna get back to y'all as we plate the food, so y'all can see how I portion my food. I have not done any weighing. I'm not doing no macros, nothing like that, because I'm not trying to get super buff or anything. I'm just trying to get in good shape, be in a caloric deficit, maintain muscle, such and such. So I am trying to eat higher protein, but I'm gonna just learn as I go. If I start noticing I'm losing too much of my muscle, then I'll go ahead and up the protein. Maybe add protein shakes in my diet. We'll just see. We'll just have to learn as we go. But I'll get to y'all when we get to plating it. Just like that, y'all, we finished our meal prep. We're completely done. We got 2 days worth of lunch and dinner, or 4 days worth of dinner. We'll just see how it plans out. But whatever works best is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna stick to that and see what goes on. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed the video. I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace out.